This property is a pretty neat property. It's a property that a friend of mine was able to get me permission on. It's another one of those really gently rolling CRP farms, and this one actually had less cover on it than I was used to. It just had one 50-60 yard wide draw that ran through the center of it. But one thing I found with CRP properties is accessibility is awesome, and they're always full of big deer. CRP farms are really appealing to big deer in my eyes, just for the simple fact that they can get away. They have so many exit routes on a CRP farm. They're always hidden for the most part. It's great thermal cover. If we don't get too much snow here in Iowa, they just seem to stack into these warm season grass farms. Every time I see a big CRP farm, I always think that is probably a big bug magnet, and there's probably a good one in there. So at this point in the season, it's later November, around that second to last week in November. And so the bucks are starting to wind down just a little bit. You know, they've been running hard since Halloween. And you're starting to see more deer kind of resort back to food type deal. But those big mature bucks are still looking for that last available doe. And especially on these CRP farms, it just seems like they make big circles in these farms and they're constantly looking. So we were really excited to get down in the cover and just see what was going to unfold. So this particular stand we were hunting that night is located in kind of a little peninsula on the widest part of this draw. It's kind of like a bowl. Swirling winds were a little bit of a factor, but we had a pretty good gust of wind that night coming straight from the southwest, so it was blowing our scent back off into a creek behind us where there wasn't a lot of deer traffic. So climbing into the stand that night, I couldn't help but think about this giant frame 7-pointer that I had seen a few hunts prior. Just a big framey deer. I actually almost killed him a couple sets prior when I was self-filming, but for whatever reason, trying to do all those multiple things at once, I just wasn't able to get the job done. He ended up working downwind of me after some series of grunts and snort wheezes with the extinguisher, and I just wasn't able to seal the deal. So that night in the tree, I was hoping for another encounter with him, but I knew of another really old, heavy 10-pointer that he wasn't a very appealing looking deer, but definitely one of the older deer that I've ever had a chance to hunt. So we had options. We had great weather conditions. We had a perfect stand set up. So it was just sit back and hopefully we were in for a good show. There were some does moving off in the distance. A mature doe actually caught us moving in the tree. At that point, we just froze, tried to minimize any more mistakes, any movement. At that point in time, the thought runs through your mind of don't even make eye contact, you know, you're busted. But the fact that we were set free, she actually walked on our access route. She didn't smell anything. She eventually dismissed it, which doesn't happen very often with them big mature does. So in that instance, we were pretty lucky there. So the does moved through. We were getting pretty excited because they were really creating a lot of commotion. And usually late in November, when there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of noise, a big mature buck catches wind of it, and generally they're gonna come in and check it out, especially when they're really having to cover ground this late in the season. But I happened to look up and I seen that big old 10-pointer. And he was actually headed in towards us. I didn't know at first if he was gonna get close enough for a shot, so I let out a couple grunts with the extinguisher. He heard him and he started making his way towards us and angling towards the tree just slightly. And at this point, I knew it was going to be a longer shot. This deer wasn't getting any closer. I ranged him as he walked in, and the rangefinder said 43 yards. Now, so many things have to go right, it seems like, at that distance. They can drop, they can wheel, they can do a lot of things wrong. He came in, he broke cover. I drew back and I let the arrow go. Hooked him. Yes. Oh. Oh. How awesome was that? 43 yards. Oh my God. I think I center punched him. I think I hit that offside shoulder. It hit him hard. Shaking. That is an old deer. I mean, just by the blood. I mean, there's blood. I think I did a number on him, but I'm just looking up here and I can see so much more blood on the switchgrass up here. So we're gonna follow this and we're gonna see. There he is. Yes, there he is. Yes. What a tank. What a old deer. Out of curiosity, I had the teeth sent in to be analyzed, and it came back that this deer was actually 10 years old. And to wonder, you know, what did he look like at 6? You know, what did he look like at 5? You know, in his prime, you know, he had to have ruled this place. You know, you just, so many things have to go right for a deer to be of that age class. Outsmarting a big old mature deer like this is just, doesn't get any better than that, regardless of how many inches of antler they've got. So one of the most key contributing factors to this hunt is the time of year. It seems like late November is that perfect time of the year where these big mature deer are on their feet and you can really capitalize at the perfect times of the day. Calling with this hunt was another key factor into harvesting this animal. Being able to know what type of grunts to throw at these deer really played a huge factor into being able to harvest this animal and pull him in just close enough at the edge of my effective range. To see this deer, to see how funky he really was, to see the discoloration in the antlers, it was something special. To have Nicolette behind the camera and film her first buck kill with me was a hunt that we'll soon never forget. Well,